Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the October 16th meeting of the California Housing Finance Agency Board of Directors. I'd like to welcome everyone. We just went through the great shakeout, so we're all steadied here. And with that, I'll ask Courtney to please call the roll.
Ms. Cabildo, Chair Cervantes,
Present.
Ms. Kurgan for Secretary Moss,
Here.
Mr. Hardiman,
Here.
Ms. Lamone, Mr. Henning for Treasurer Ma, Mr. Prince, Mr. Russell, Mr. Fiegels for Secretary Sin,
Here.
Ms. Sotelo, Ms. Seeger for Director Velasquez,
Here.
Dr. White,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Acefa, Mr. Stevenshaw, and Ms. Franklin.
Here.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much. The second agenda item is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting on September 18th. Thank you so much. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard multiple in that. Dr. Kurgan. With the, our protocol is to approve minutes with a motion and a second, and they're deemed approved. Third item, I'm going to make just a few comments. There are three items, really all really great news or good positive things. The first is to welcome our upcoming new executive director, Tony Sertich, who'll be stepping in, or I should say sworn in by Secretary Moss next week, a week from tomorrow. And we look forward to him coming on board next month. We'll have a chance to have him talk at that meeting. He's in the back there looking at us. Thank you. There may be a number of people in the room who are already familiar with Mr. Sertich, in as much as he served CalHFA for a 15-year period, playing a multitude of roles, including leading the multifamily division, or serving as our first director of enterprise risk management and compliance, played a variety of roles for a significant period during the organization's history. I guess by my calculation, 30% of CalHFA's life was with Tony Sertich involved. So I'm looking forward to the next 30% after that. So he moved on from CalHFA to serve then State Controller Betty E as her chief housing advisor, and more recently he's been with HCD as deputy director over the division of state financial assistance. So he has a very varied portfolio of housing experience with the state. Looking forward to having him on board. I had a chance to get together with him last week, and we'll hear more at the next session when he's official. The second thing,
Mr. Chair, can I just add real quick as before you move from that? So I did my first, I think, 7 years on the board. I got to work with Tony, so I'm really excited about renewing that partnership as well, and just really want to welcome him prematurely. Hopefully he'll get sworn in. Welcome him when he joins us.
Thank you. The second is really a note of real appreciation, and we'll hear more about this later, to the person on my right, Rebecca Franklin, who has been serving as our interim executive director for a rather long period, a little bit. I just want to say just a note of real appreciation as your term as the interim executive director ends, you go back to being chief deputy director, how much we all appreciate what you've done for CalHFA and keeping us, not just kind of holding down the fort, but keeping us moving. And it's a hard juggling act. So thank you so much. Well done. And I also want to note, and I think an important item, and this is, I think, frankly, a real moment of joy. One of our board members is not here, Norena Limon, as she and her husband recently had a baby. So I just want to note that Frances Elena Espinosa Limon came into this world on September 29th. And I think at some point, maybe when we celebrate our 100th anniversary, she may be sitting in this chair as board chair. So we're looking forward to seeing Director Limon when she comes back, but I just want to acknowledge our joy at her family's new arrival. So just want to leave with that very happy note. And with that, I'll pass it to Rebecca Franklin.
Thank you, Chair Cervantes, and thank you for all of the kind words and making me blush. So I do also want to echo the excitement for Mr. Tony Sertich coming on board as our new executive director. While we all know I've been filling his role, or soon to be his role, and a couple other roles over the last year, I have been able to connect with Mr. Sertich. I never crossed paths with him at CalHFA. I think we joke that we kind of mimicked or like crossed over. Like I took his old role when he left. I got hired. So thanks for leaving the first time, Tony. I'm glad to have you back. But I've also been able to connect with him on a couple of collaborative efforts around AB 519. And I can remember a couple months ago, I was sitting in a meeting that Tony and his team were leading from HCD, and I texted Miss Kurgan and I said, I kind of like this guy. I wonder if we can get him at CalHFA. Little did I know, I had a crystal ball. So I'm super excited to have Tony, to learn from Tony, to learn from not only his qualities that make him just a standout leader. If you ever talk to him or see him in a meeting or interact, you just are immediately drawn to his leadership style and presence. And I'm also really excited to be able to work alongside someone who cares so much about Californians and their housing needs and being there and serving the people of California. Also, his passion for staff. And, I say internally, we do great work, we make great impact, but we also want to have joy in the journey. And I think Tony not only believes that, but truly that embodies his leadership style. And I'm so excited to be able to do that. As Chair Cervantes alluded to, quite a few people have worked with Mr. Sertich at his original time at CalHFA, and everyone's just so overjoyed to have him come on board and be a member of the team and help us kind of do these giant, great, new, innovative things that Mr. Prince is going to require us to do in the next strategic plan. So I'm excited for next week, next Friday, and then this will be my last update at the board, which is great, but you'll get to hear from him. And I think he's he's not as funny as I am, I'm going to be honest, but I think he's great. So other kind of updates I wanted to give the board. I don't know if he can bake. Nope, no, so it's okay. I can't, yeah, well, Mr. Tam isn't here to make fun of him. So in other big news, CalHFA received 3 awards, program awards for excellence at the National Council of State Housing Agencies. We were there a week or two of it's blending together. So we got it was very fun to hear our name over and over and over as we sat there. A little bit more about the awards we won. Our Dream for All portal beat out all the other states in a technology category, the innovative design and measure. And as we, continue to do rounds of Dream for All funding and we grow and do that. So that was recognized as from a technology perspective. Our long-term financial strategy, so kind of when we talk about, remember Erwin's metaphor about like shooting stars and galactic things, that indenture was honored in the management, innovation, and financing category. Additionally, our third award was we revamped our financial transparency and risk oversight and took home the trophy for innovation and internal operations. It was the first time CalHFA won 3 NCSHA awards since 1998, or as I like to call it, the year I turned 13. I think Mr. Sertich was working here. No, I'm joking. But we do have a lot of staff here today that I wanted to have stand and us recognize from our fiscal and financial services. I think sometimes they're the unsung heroes of the backbone of our operations. We like to issue bonds. They're the ones that do the accounting. They keep the risk in line. They price. They do all that work. So as you guys all stand, I'd like to give you, that means stand. I can call you by name: Ben Lunetta, Shelby Banks, Oksana, Pratiksha, Doug. So we really appreciate all your hard work and effort and innovation as we continue to grow not only our business, our revenue, but also have, kind of the background of the operations as we do that. And highlight for Oksana with the closed item session, she's already on it. She's got all the accounting figured out. She's doing it. So As far as events we've attended, those awards were announced at NCSHA annual conference earlier this month. I attended along with Director Hardiman, Dr. White, and Ms. Kurgan. At the conference, CalHFA leadership, including myself, moderated and participated in 4 panels. Also, Deputy Secretary Kurgan spoke on a 5th panel. So we were well represented, sharing kind of all the great things that CalHFA does, as a leader in the housing finance industry, as well as the highlighting. I think it was really nice that Deputy Secretary Kurgan could go, because I had to moderate a similar panel last year on the topic, and it's something that really our partners at Housing and Community Development does, and so I had to learn it. And so it was nice to have the expert in the room and being able to share that. And I think that other housing finance agencies across the nation are really looking to California in a lot of different spaces, but one of them very much in disaster recovery and preparedness. So also highlighting, she got to highlight the great work that HCD does. NCSH is always an amazing opportunity to share best practices and to talk about challenges we're facing across the country. We're also doing the same thing at other events, including the San Diego Housing Federation Conference, which is happening today. So Member Russell, who is the executive director of that organization, has an excused absence for that meeting. Our Director of Legislation, Meji Tabar, is speaking there today as well. Then next week, our Deputy Director of Multifamily Programs, Steve Gallagher, will be on a panel for the Rural Housing Summit. Steve will be joined at that conference by our tribal liaison, Gail Tatiyama, who will also have the opportunity to continue very productive years in terms of making connections with California tribes. I think also our chief, Kevin Brown, he doesn't need a title, will also be at Rural Housing. On October 1st, I traveled down to Paula for the California Tribal Business Alliance Policy Roundtable, where we had a robust conversation about housing. That conversation came after CalHFA had co-hosted 2 other listening sessions with California tribal leaders and housing experts over the past several months. We have been honored to expand this connection with the tribes and will work on ways that CalHFA can better serve those communities. I do think that connecting with the tribes, as we say, we serve 58 counties all across the California, but we also want to be able to be of service to those tribal communities, recognizing each one as sovereign and unique, but we won't be able to do that unless we're listening and understanding and being there and present. So it was an honor to be invited down to Paula. It was the second time I'd been to Paula. We're continuing those conversations. I know Mr. Brown has lots of ideas and is very excited about kind of looking at how CalHFA can help those communities. A brief update on Dream for All. As you know, additional funds were allocated in the most recent state budget. Currently, we are working through the remaining waitlisted applicants from previous registration and application process. We do anticipate after exhausting the waitlist, there will be funds remaining to be awarded. Therefore, we do plan to conduct another pre-registration process, which has tentatively been scheduled for next year. Our single family outreach team is providing information to the lending community, and we have updated the Dream for All information on the CalHFA website, particularly letting home buyers know they should begin preparing now for next year's funding. For home buyers or anyone else interested in knowing more, they should sign up for our e-news announcements. So again, early next year, we will be opening back up and doing another pre-registration process. So, if you are a home buyer and you're listening, kind of get educated, connect with our lender network, and, want to make sure that everyone has the ability to kind of go into that process. I'm going to wrap up with a quick update on the CalAssist Mortgage Fund. This program has now provided mortgage relief to nearly 400 homeowners who saw their homes destroyed or severely damaged in recent disasters. We are looking at the data. I know that board members have also gotten feedback on some of the criteria. This is a process that we worked well for us in the mortgage relief space, which is we go out to market with very stringent criteria to ensure those who most need the funds are assisted first, and then we kind of expand things as we go on, kind of making sure that, everyone that, the most need goes first, and then we kind of expand out. So we are listening, we are collecting data on whether that is a time to kind of expand the criteria. So we'll be back with any updates on that. That is all I have for now. And I wanted to say, I guess my personal privilege is I thank the board for accepting me and supporting me through the last year. It's been a few different roles and hats, and I just think that everyone's provides such great counsel and support in their own ways. And having worked for, this is my fourth board, yeah. Having experts in the room on the board, it is just so great. And not only experts in the field and the industry, but also people who are passionate about the work that we're doing and wanting to contribute and collaborate with us at such a great level is just, it made my jobs so much easier. So thank you.
Thanks very much. Clearly, a lot going on. And
Have to stand up.
one last round. I couldn't make the NCSHA conference, but was delighted with the recognition that our peers across the nation have provided to CalHFA. The awards we received are just a marker really for the work that's going on, every day with staff and with the involvement of the board. So kudos to all involved. With that, I'm going to move on to item 4, which is a closed session. And so I'll read this. In accordance with the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, the board will now go into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126C7 to discuss matters related to 520 Capitol Mall. And so with that, I guess we'll ask folks to vacate the room, and we'll be back at some point after the discussion concludes. Thank you. Okay, we're back from closed session. This is agenda item 5 now. The board met in closed session as permitted under Government Code Section 11126C7 to discuss matters related to 520 Capitol Mall. No deliberations or votes were conducted on any agency matters other than the duly noticed and agendized discussion. So thank you all very much. I'm going to move to agenda item 6, which is a permanent loan commitment for 831 Water Street in Santa Cruz. And with that, I'd like to have Steve Gallagher, our Deputy Director of Multifamily Programs, make his presentation.
Before Mr. Gallagher starts, I just want to recognize him. We've been, sadly without a director of multifamily programs since about end of August, and he has really stepped up into that kind of, I don't want to get, I know we say I wear a lot of hats, but I'm not going to take full credit on that one. I think it's really him and, his team that have really rallied and been able to keep everything moving seamlessly. I'm just there for the problem solving, the bigger problems. So I just wanted to recognize Mr. Gallagher in that moment.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm Steve Gallagher, Deputy Director of Multifamily Programs. I'm here to present the final project from our MIP 2024 round that will come to board for approval. It's 831 Water Street. But before I get into that, I just wanted to say that I think everybody's familiar with the term "it takes a village," and it really takes a village to get these projects here. So we in multifamily have the privilege of bringing it before the board, but we couldn't do this without our partners in financing, in legal, in fiscal. I mean, so many people have to put time into these projects to get them to this point where you can vote on them. And of course, I want to thank our staff in multifamily, the underwriters, the loan administrators, our asset managers. So a lot of work that goes into these. So 831 Water Street. It's a new construction, mixed income, family and special needs development located in the city of Santa Cruz. The development will be comprised of 140 residential units in 2 buildings, one that's 5 stories, one that's 6 stories. And of these units, 139 will have their rents restricted between 30 and 80% of the Santa Cruz County AMI. The developer for this one is Novin Development Corporation, who is an emerging developer entity. That said, their principal, Iman Novin, has been in the affordable housing industry for many years. His background and that of his staff meets CalHFA's development team requirements without any co-developer participation. And Novin Development Corp currently has 13 projects totaling 801 units throughout the Bay Area. The construction lender is Citibank, and the tax credit investor is R4 Capital. The development has been allocated nearly $54 million in tax-exempt bonds from the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee, and also expects to use about $21 million of taxable bonds. CalHFA will be the issuer for both the tax-exempt and taxable bonds. The project has also received $44.2 million in federal tax credits, as well as $11.3 million in state tax credits. Today, we are requesting board approval on a $36.5 million first lien permanent loan and a $4 million mixed income program subordinate loan. Both loans will have 17-year terms. Now, I wanted to highlight a few things about the project before I get into some of the underwriting exceptions. One of the things is about the residents this project will be serving. I think this is a great example of how MIP projects can help people from various walks of life. So there's going to be 64 units covered by project-based vouchers. Of that, 16 units will be reserved for disabled households on the county's waiting list. There will also be 15 Veterans Affairs supportive housing units for veterans. There's also going to be 4 units reserved for transition-aged youth, and the remaining 29 vouchers will be for non-targeted eligible applicants on the county's waiting list. There's also going to be 5 units that are live-work units, which I understand are thought of for artists, or in the Santa Cruz area. I think there's a demand for that. There are energy efficient and green design features, which include a photovoltaic solar system, water efficient landscaping, and electric vehicle charging stations. Now, in your packet, one of the things you'll note is it mentioned modular construction. I actually just had a chance to catch up this morning with the developer and have some late breaking news on the modular construction front. Unfortunately, the company that they were going to be using has folded. So they are now anticipating that this is going to be a stick build, but they're still evaluating other modular options. So just wanted to note that since it says in the staff report modular, but that's late breaking news, like I said. There's also going to be 300 bike spaces, and I understand this is a heavily traveled corridor. And I think you've probably noticed in the staff report that there is commercial space. As of now, the plan is for that commercial space to be a bike repair shop / coffee shop. So I mentioned some underwriting exceptions, and we do have a few I think that the board is very familiar with. First of all will be the CalHFA regulatory agreement will be subordinate to the Santa Cruz density bonus agreement. CalHFA's risk will be mitigated through a subordination or standstill agreement that will be executed at permanent loan closing. To meet the investor's requirement to repay the deferred developer fee within the first 15 years, the borrower will receive a larger than 50% distribution of surplus cash. That's currently estimated to be at 65%, so it's not going to be all going to the developer at front, and we'll be able to get some MIP repaid, and then in year 15, it'll be the regular 50-50 split. And based on our exit analysis, the permanent loan and the mixed income program loan will be fully repaid at refinance in year 16. And the third exception is the utility allowances are lower than those required by HUD, and they're based on the California Utility Allowance Calculator, or QAC. QAC is an alternative way for developers to calculate the utility allowances for their projects, and it's when there's certain efficiency measures that are in place. So we mentioned the solar panels. That is allowing them to have a lower utility allowance on this one. I mentioned at the top that this is the last of our MIP 2024 deals that will be coming to board for approval. Should this project be approved today, it will bring our total commitments for MIP 2024 to over $290 million in permanent loans and nearly $46 million in mixed income program subordinate loans for the 2024 cycle. Our team is already working on final commitment underwriting now for the first of our MIP 2025 projects, which I expect will start bringing aboard in early 2026. And I also wanted to point out that the principal for the developer for 831 Water Street, Iman Novin, is here with us today. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, and I know Mr. Novin would also be happy to answer any questions you have for him. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much for the presentation, and I see the pictures are on the screen. Other questions, comments from the members of the board? Director Prince?
I have two. The first is I'm really glad to see, with the exception, that it went from the 100% cash flow distribution to 65%. I still feel like we have a stronger negotiating position than that, but at least it's moving in the direction that I've been hoping, so I appreciate that. There was something about the utility stuff. Oh, I'm just kind of curious. So it's really nice to see that the solar panels coming in are actually benefiting the families and lowering their utility costs. Many times you see the solar panels really deferring the public utility expense. So I'm glad to see it's coming down to the families. So that's great.
Thank you, Director Prince. Other
I have a
comment?
comment.
Director Williams.
You noted that 64 of the units will be supported by project-based vouchers. I just want to highlight the important role that housing authorities play in making the many projects affordable. I was at a conference in Naro where we talked about the role or ways in which housing authorities and state housing finance agencies can partner together. And there were other examples of where that's happening across the country. And I would hope that we would, in the future, as we are talking about strategic planning, really include the value of the housing authority's role in providing project-based vouchers to make these projects like this possible and pencil. It's not just issuing a voucher. This is cash over time that housing authorities are investing or that make projects like this possible. So just want to highlight that.
Thank you, Director Williams. And I'll note, I went to an opening for a Sunnyvale project where Santa Clara Housing Authority was deeply involved. There's some terrific work we do with our partners with housing authorities throughout California. So thank you. Director Kurgan?
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll build on what Director Williams was saying. The mic seems very loud. It does seem very loud. Steve, just building on your "it takes a village" comment, I think the example of the housing authority stepping in, this is actually a housing authority that is newly designated moving to work authority, and they have designation specifically to project-based vouchers. Unlike some of the longer-term moving to work agencies that have more flexibility, this is contained, but they've been really ready to go. So I can see Iman shaking his head, yes, so I'm sure that he knows this. Also, in the "it takes a village" frame, the land use components of the density bonus agreement, I just want to point out the city of Santa Cruz is actually a pro-housing designated jurisdiction, so they're actually thinking about more forward-thinking land use policies to make housing happen easier. I personally am very supportive of modular, and sometimes things like this happen. I would wonder if, Iman, if you could come up to tell us a little bit more about how you're going to meet the readiness and actually construction start timelines that are already ticking for you, and kind of walk us through the Plan B. I'm not trying to grill you here, but just more interested in the type of communication that you'll be maintaining with your public agency partners as you plan for this or navigate this unexpected turn.
Thank you for the question.
I think it's, yeah, I think you got it.
Testing. There we go. Yep. Thank you so much for the question. We've had the benefit of working on another modular project in Santa Cruz, and it's a smaller project to sort of test all the kinks with it. And I'm a huge proponent of modular housing. And there were issues like highway patrol escorts down Highway 17 and switchgear delays, and issues with the factory itself. And essentially, their investors bought out their intellectual property that caused delays and multiple staging. And as a result, we took a hard look at this project, which was envisioned as modular. And working closely with J.H. Fitzmaurice, our general contractor, made the determination, particularly after we got bids from really experienced framing companies, that they could meet the timelines and at a cost equivalent or even lower than modular, to switch to modular. Now, we still have a lot of innovative features. They look at pre-panelization for the framing. They also look at, we're looking at Kit Switch, which is a modularized kitchenette system. So there's going to be a lot of features like that. We don't expect it to have an impact on the schedule.
That's great. Wonderful. So then now stepping into the building is going to get built, everything's going to go great. Just one follow-up question that may be more of a note to how we think about lower utility allowances. As Director Prince mentioned, this is a good thing, and I appreciate you sizing the system so that the benefit can go to the residents. That's exactly the policy angle that we want. The QAC that awkward acronym, helps determine how much we think residents are going to pay based on the amount of energy that they use and how much offset there will be from these systems. But if we think about it like an energy pro forma, we don't know exactly how the energy systems are going to perform. So I'd welcome ongoing information from you all and like recommendations on how you think we at the state should expect people to monitor the energy investments. But I wonder if you can speak to, are you doing like utility benchmarking or anything like that? And what kind of maintenance practices? Again, promise not trying to grill you, but thinking about this as a place for our future thinking when we see, yes, a good thing of the QAC being low, but a real risk if the utilities end up being higher, the residents are then paying way more than what we expected them to. So that's why I'm trying to dial in. It is an objectively good thing, but only to the extent that the systems perform.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. Sometimes these utility allowances are based off of like really old housing portfolios, so they also don't accurately reflect the usage of a, new Title 24 high efficiency sustainable building. So part of the QAC is that there is an annual sort of look back to determine how things are going, and that helps us monitor. We were also in some of our buildings looking at putting in, even though there's like state legislation that doesn't require affordable housing to sub-meter for water, we're putting in these Bluetooth water meters anyways, that allow, not from like a utility company perspective to bill individual tenants, but for us and our property management to be able to evaluate water usage and determine if there's an education program that needs to happen. A lot of it comes back to resident education and awareness. And so those are some of the tools that we'll be using to keep an eye on outcomes.
That sounds great. Let us know how it goes.
Thank you.
Can I just follow up on that? I'm sorry, because
Dr. Prince.
I did make the assumption that the cost savings was going to the families, and so I totally appreciate you clarifying that. So we are retrofitting a bunch of old tax credit developments, and 100% of the savings through the solar retrofit is going to the families. And the reason why is that in tax credit deals, particularly in high cost areas like Santa Cruz or San Jose, people are extremely rent burdened who are living in a 50% AMI unit. Their incomes are not at 50% AMI, and yet that's where the rents are benchmarked at. And so I think the ways to help offset that rent burden, which is extreme, it's like 80% of income going towards rent for seniors in tax credit deals if they don't have a project-based voucher, they don't have rental assistance. It's very similar for families. So any ways that we can help them be stable within this kind of program that benchmarks rent to AMI as opposed to household income is really important. So I really think that some part of the savings I get, there's also opportunity to monetize the savings in the utilities to pay for the project in the first place. I get that, but there should be some benefit to the families. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was trying to also say. You said it much better.
Thank you, Director Prince. Any other questions, comments from the board?
I'll make the motion. If you
Well,
want.
actually, I got a couple here,
Okay.
but thank you. And then I'll let Director Prince jump in on this. By the way, I do note that I really appreciate the sort of the mixed use, if you will, in this project. And I kind of flagged on that, where you've got a population with individuals with special needs, traditional youth. I mean, kudos to our local partners and to the development team for sort of making that sort of a reality of reflecting a community. And I thought that was really a nice feature on this particular project. The modular housing question, thank you, Director Kurgan. That was one of the ones I had. I got one which is maybe broader and more general. I did note in the notes that the federal tax credit pricing decreased from 90 cents to 78. It's like a 13% drop. I think there's a broader market trend here, but if you could just talk on that, I'd like to understand what's going on with the broader market for tax credits.
Yeah, and that's partly why I have some white hairs. We sort of hit the market right before the last presidential election is when we went out to RFP for a tax credit investor. And, after 5 years of work on entitlements, who would know that, the tax credit investor market is one thing that could be a hurdle to a project moving forward. And it very much was for us as an emerging developer. This is our first big tax credit MIP project, plus the uncertainty around the federal election. We sent out RFP to 30 tax credit investors and radio silence. Most of the feedback was, wait, touch base with us after the election. And, we were very lucky to find a partner in R4 Capital who ultimately stepped up. The pricing was not what we underwrote, which was also a big challenge we had to overcome in terms of value engineering and figuring out how to keep the project feasible and moving forward. But I think it's a combination of just like uncertainty. There's the 25% test, which is creating more volume, and that has some downward pressure on credit pricing. Ultimately, the tenacity of our team and the village, working with Citibank, working with CalHFA's great staff. Big shout out to Kevin and Barbara for your steadfast support and helping us get through some of those big challenges. But the pricing definitely is sort of soft. I think the state credits helped us though a lot.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just want to get some
The
clarification.
market is so topsy-turvy right now. We're seeing the same thing, a 10% drop overall. We're hearing from the investors, the syndicators particularly, that they're like, if you have an offer in hand, keep it. Don't do the solicitations, that we're not going to respond. We're going to stay with relationships. So I think it's really, with an emerging developer, it's really hard to get your foot into the door. So getting that offer and holding, R4 is a good syndicator. So getting that and holding on to it's totally right. I think that there are many different market factors. You named a couple of them, and we'll see a rebalance. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac increase their limits of what they're purchasing. We'll see some, though it's $1 for every $6 in new tax credits, so it's not going to capture the whole market. I think we're going to see a lot of volatility within the tax credit price, particularly for emerging developers. So we got to be cognizant of that and still want to be able to support that group. So recognize that they may not get the same price as a long-term for-profit or long-term nonprofit or housing authority.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
I know this wasn't a question, but I just wanted to, this is a very, important moment, I think, for me, and being just express on the drive over, I was reminiscing on the path and the journey, and my family's from Iran, we're Persian. My parents came here after the revolution, and we lived in a one-bedroom house in Scotts Valley, and multiple jobs. It was once my parents saved up enough to buy a house that we really had stability, and it had a big impact on me being able to go to UC San Diego and all of that. And so that's where I found a passion for affordable housing and started my career there. And it's just so grateful to everyone, the village that helped us get here, and to be able to now create an asset and that's going to serve families like myself for generations in the hometown that I grew up in. Just grateful.
Great, thank you.
So with that as the platform.
Actually, I need public comment.
Oh, gosh darn it. I wanted to use that great story.
I keep on pulling it away from you. And with that, I'd like to open this up to public comment in person or in Zoom. I'll note that we have a 2-minute limit on public comment, and it's for this agenda item. So Courtney, if you could please open it up for public comment.
If any members of the public, either on Zoom or in person, would like to make a comment, please raise your hand using the raise a hand icon, or here in person, if you just raise your hand. There's none at this time.
Thank you very much. And Director Prince.
For all of the reasons that we heard today, the public-private partnership, the village, the personal story, which is wonderful, the emerging developer role, the beautiful design, I would move for the adoption of this resolution.
This is Resolution 25-25. Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Director Henning. Courtney, can you please call the roll?
Chair Cervantes,
Yes.
Ms. Kurgan,
Yes.
Mr. Hardiman, Mr. Henning, Mr. Prince, Mr. Fiegels,
Yes.
Ms. Seeger, Dr. White, and Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 25-25 is approved.
Thank you so much.
Terrific. We look forward to the opening. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'll move on to agenda item 7, which are information written reports. We have one included in the packet. I'd like to see if there's any comments, questions from the board on that, so we could follow through. I don't see any. Then we move on to agenda item 8, which is other board matters. So this would be items not on the agenda, which we really couldn't discuss, but if the board members would like to raise something for a future meeting, we'll certainly entertain that at this point.
I'd like to reiterate and revisit for future meeting discussion of the important role in partnerships with housing authorities as they are able to provide project-based vouchers to developers and other affordable housing projects.
Okay, great topic. Thank you.
Oh, and talking about home ownership, there's also the housing choice vouchers that can be used as a tool for gaining home ownership opportunities. We're experiencing that. A number of housing authorities are offering that to their residents as well. So both multifamily opportunity and assistance with becoming homeowners.
Great, good. Thank you, Director Williams. Any other topics for future meeting?
I'd add
Dr. White?
Director Williams' comment around the project-based vouchers. We are looking at an alternative to the project-based vouchers, just based on what's happening in DC, looking at digital sign revenue to essentially replace the need for the vouchers. So we're working with a developer who has this strategy, has an idea, has capital, will not use tax credits to do it. Just need to support the municipality to do this. So I think it's important. I don't know if we can depend on the federal government to
Well,
keep-
they're not that dependable, but project-based vouchers have been around.
Yeah, they've been around
for a while,
forever.
so,
You're right.
That may be the one thing
Hopefully.
that,
Okay, so this is good fodder probably for strategic
Yeah.
planning. So thank you both. Any other comments on board matters? So then I'll open at number 9, agenda item 9, which is public comment on any matters relating to our jurisdiction for individuals in person or on Zoom. And we ask for a 2-minute time limit on comments. Courtney, can you please open up the floor to see if there's any public comment?
If any members of the public would like to make a comment, please raise your hand either on Zoom or in person. I am not seeing any at this time.
Great. With that then, we really are at the end of our agenda. So with that, thank you all so much. And we'll look forward to seeing you next month. Meeting adjourned.